Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Business by Referral Podcast. I'm Virginia Muzquiz, the Referral Diva, your host. And today I am here with Joel Salomon. He is a finance and mindful money expert, as well as a prosperity coach who helps individuals overcome the obstacles standing in the way of their financial freedom. He is an award-winning TEDx speaker, a dynamic workshop facilitator, and a frequent guest on television and podcasts. Joel brings a wealth of experience to the table as a former manager of a $700 million portfolio and the creator of his own successful hedge fund. He is also the author of 3 best-selling books, but what sets him apart is his belief that true wealth goes beyond the numbers and that it is rooted in a mindset of gratitude, love, and service, which is why it's easy for you, dear listener, to know why Joel is on the Business by Referral podcast. Joel, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, and I love your sweater, Virginia.
Oh, thank you. It's my love sweater. It's my.
We're in alignment.
Sometimes I get a little nervous, like wearing the same sweater on all my podcasts, but it's my favorite sweater.
We can't smell you. It's fine.
It's okay. I wash it from time to time. Like when it stands up all by itself, then I throw it in the wash and kind of throw some fabric softener on it. Anyway, Joel, where are you in the world right now?
I am in New York, greatest city in the world.
Are you in the city?
I'm just outside, but I'm in Westchester County, but in the city a few times a week.
Okay, yeah, I was born on Long Island.
Me too.
Oh yeah, my mom called me the Amityville Horror.
I was born in Massapequa.
Oh, yeah, that's where we lived.
Really?
Yeah, we lived when I was a little girl. We lived in Massapequa Park. Yeah, so I can't remember the name of the street, but that's really funny. So Massapequa buddies, right? Now I speak proper Midwestern because I'm in the St. Louis metro area, so I speak. But boy, when I get home, she comes
Long
out.
Island.
The Long Island, and I'm a Jersey girl, right? I grew up most of my life I spent in Jersey. So when I get going, I talk like Snooki, and like, do not mess with me. And yeah, when I get going and when people, it usually only comes out when people rile me up. So and it takes a lot, I have a very long fuse, but if someone hears my kids particularly, if they hear the New Yorker, New Jersey girl come out, they're like, you better run because it's not fun. But yeah, so that's great. Well, listen, I'm super curious. A $700 million portfolio. You opened your own hedge fund. Talk about that. How did you get started in the financial world and how did you make that happen?
I now believe that thoughts become things and words give you wings. And so in 1993, I was working at an insurance company coding, and I had a dream to be a professional money manager. So I reached out to many of them and I got consensus. Don't move. You're working as an actuary at an insurance company. You got the best job in the country. And there's no way you could ever become a professional money manager. I didn't have any background. I didn't have experience. I didn't have the education, but I had a dream. And finally, I found one person who told me the route he took to get there. And I followed it mostly. And 15 years later, I became a professional money manager. So today, I want to make sure that my long road leads to everyone who's watching shortcut.
I love that. I love that. And you know what I really think is interesting? I just got done watching a clip. There's a woman named Carissa Hendricks who does a character called Lucy, and she's like a 1930s, 1940s magician kind of character. And she just is putting out sort of some background videos. And it's super interesting because she said, I was saying I wanted to do this character thing and everybody discouraged me. And then there was one person who said, that would be amazing. Like you'd be so unique. You'd be a standout. And that's what created Lucy. And it's a phenomenal character and she's hilarious, right? Did you kind of keep looking for like, okay, you're not going to support me. You're discouraging me. I'll find the next person. Was what made you do that?
I had a dream and I wasn't going to give up on the dream. And I knew it was fun. So what happened was when I was working as an actuary at an insurance company, in the evenings and weekends, I was analyzing and investing in stocks.
Nice.
And I said to myself, wow, how cool would it be to align my hobby and my career? It wouldn't be work, it'd be fun. You're going to pay me to do something I love. Let me figure out how to do that.
Right.
And so I eventually got there, found the path, and was working at Citigroup in 2008. You may well, you're quite young, but you probably
No,
can't
I'm
remember,
not.
Virginia.
I'm a proud owner of 1965 as a birth date. So
Okay, I thought you were 23, but
you are so kind.
In 2008, so you probably couldn't remember. But okay, so yeah, that was the year the market was down 40%, and financial stocks were down 57. And I managed to make a little bit of money that year for the Citigroup shareholders. Next year was better, and I might actually still be there, but there was a law that was passed that said banks can't own hedge funds, which actually gave me so we all got laid off, and which gave me the kick in the butt to start my own fund. So my own fund was named Salomon Capital. So my company name still is Salomon, named after my daughters, Lauren and Morgan. So Laur for Lauren, Mor for Morgan. And I was living my dream. I was good. I thought, okay, I'm good with my life. I'm tap dancing to work. I remember, people on the subway at 7 a.m. being so upset, and I'm like smiling, looking at my BlackBerry, finding out what's gonna be the good idea for the day. And about 3 years later, I went to a personal development course, and there was a guy standing on a guest speaker speaking for 1 hour. It was a 3-day course. And there was a guy speaking on stage for 1 hour about stocks and stock options. And when he spoke about stock options in particular, he made it sound easy. He said, you don't need much time. You don't need much money. This is how the rich people get rich. And options are essentially risk-free. And I was sick to my stomach. It was day 2 of the conference.
Because he was lying through his teeth.
People would tap me on the shoulder, whispering, Joel, does this make sense? Are options really riskless? So I was polite. After we was done, we went out of the auditorium. I said, please don't do this. He has no idea about any of you individually. And most importantly, no idea about your belief that you could become rich using options. Went home that night, couldn't sleep. I think it was like 4:30 in the morning. I jumped out of bed. I realized if I could ever get up the courage to speak on a stage, it's my biggest fear that day was public speaking. I could be of service, not lie to people, and tell them the truth about money. And so I went into my office, 54th and Madison Avenue, sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back. I'm shutting down my fund. I figured out my true purpose on earth.
So you just walked away. That is just crazy. One of the things that I think is so great about what you just said is this. So often the negative things that happen in our life are only negatives because we choose to view them that way. So like when you said, oh, stocks were down 40%, the first thought in my mind was like, if that ever happens again, where is my cash position? Because I'm going shopping, right? Like when Macy's puts everything 40% off, you run to Macy's, right? You don't lament it, you run. So when that happened, I had a great financial advisor who was like, don't worry about what you have being down, worry about not having cash to capitalize on this moment to help. Because the minute you take, like the down happens because people pull the money out, right? So the minute you dump the money back in, everything renormalizes.
Yeah.
So it's so fascinating that it's really about the mindset. I'm curious, what was your personal situation when you walked away from the hedge fund? Like, were you married already? Did you have kids already? Like, did you just come home one day and be like, honey, I quit? Like, how did that go down?
A good question. I was actually divorced and single dad. So it was 100% my decision, except for the fact that I had a company that I was running. And I had to tell my CFO and my lawyer and accountant and my analysts and all those people that, and I gave them time. It wasn't like,
sure. Like it wasn't like Spirit Airlines or anything.
Right. I did send an email to my investors, though, telling them I'm shutting down the fund, but it takes, the legal shutting down of a fund and striking the final net asset value and closing down the legal entities. All that took many, many months.
Sure.
And so I had to let them know, but my kids were quite young, and, I didn't need to let my former wife know. So it
Made it a little
was my
easier.
decision. Yeah, made it a little bit easier, maybe, but still my CFO, it was actually the week of Christmas. So she came back January 2nd, brought her into a conference room, and I told her, and she said, "Joel, I was going to ask for a raise. We had a good year last year." And I was like, huh.
Well, I mean, were you able to like hand out severance or anything, or like was when you closed down the fund,
I kept
is there
them
like
on
nothing
board.
there?
I mean, I kept them on board for a while. Like,
Yeah.
I could have let them go, selling the stocks took a few weeks. I could have let them go that month. My CFO stayed on for all of 20, and I kept my analyst on for 6 months. So
Nice.
basically, yeah, I let them ride for a while, even though we weren't managing much money, and tried to help them find other jobs and all that.
I think it's so interesting how, as an employer, so just from the perspective of being someone who takes care of people, I mean, that's really one of the biggest reason. I know there's some people that just, get employees so that they can make more profit, but a lot of us have employees because we care about their quality of life and we want to give them a great work life and balance and a great experience, and we want them to feel realized and all of that. And it's very difficult to bring those moments to a close and to do it really well. It takes a lot of heart to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, even though I gave them a long lead time. And these were friends, right? They weren't just colleagues. So,
Yeah.
And I'm still friends with my former colleagues 10 years later.
10 years later, which is the goal, right? Because what does somebody say? When you die, nobody wants your stuff, right? Like the best that can happen is that you have a community that comes together because you existed on the planet, right? So that's cool. Talk about a little bit about getting started in the coaching realm. How did you?
Great question. You're told if you build it, they will come. The Field of Dreams quote movie, but not true. I had this dream, right? And I had to take action. I do believe thoughts become things, but I don't know any billionaires who just sit at home and visualize and meditate all day, right? And I do visualize and I do meditate, but I take action, and I'll call it inspired action, right? So I started a meetup group in my hedge fund, in the building that I still had my hedge fund for all of 2016, even though we sold the securities pretty early in 2016. And I just had people come and I coached them in a group setting, which ultimately has now become my mastermind group, 10 years later. That was the initial thoughts of having a mastermind. And I just coached them pro bono for a number of months and gave them what I thought was great advice about investing and money mindset. I eventually became a certified infinite possibilities trainer. I don't know if you've heard of Mike Dooley.
I haven't, so I'd be interested in knowing more.
So Mike wrote the book, New York Times bestseller, Infinite Possibilities. He also writes a daily email called Note from the Universe that goes out to 1.6 million people globally every day.
Wow.
And I met him through a woman who was in my group in 2016. And she said, are you going to Playing the Matrix in Rhinebeck, New York? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, Mike Dooley's coming to New York. Who's Mike? No
right.
idea. But she said, I think you will really resonate with what he has to teach. You should come. I'm going. I went. There were 75 people in the room, a really small group for somebody who had thousands of followers at the time. I think his email list at the time was 600,000. Now it's 1.6 million. And he talked about chapter 1 of Infinite Possibilities, which are thoughts. Thoughts become things. And that was actually my email signature for my hedge fund from my favorite book, Think and Grow Rich, because the first 4 words of Think and Grow Rich are truly thoughts are things. And that was my signature. So that happened, that synchronicity happened. Second was he started his career as an accountant. I mentioned I'm an actuary, and you guys know the difference, Virginia, the difference between an actuary and an accountant, right? So an actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you, an accountant looks at your feet when he talks.
Yeah.
We're both really boring. So I was like, okay. And he talked about how he was so nervous talking the first time the paper was rattling when he spoke for the first time. And then he talked about the book, The Secret, how it changed his life because he was in that book saying thoughts become things, and in the movie. And The Secret also changed my life. And so I went up to him. I like, oh my God, look at my signature. We had all these 3 things in common. I got on his mailing list because I wasn't on the mailing list for No Friend in the Universe until October 2016. And then he talked about getting certified. And I'm like, wow, I just started a new business coaching. It would be cool to get certified. So I went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, got certified to teach Infinite Possibilities along with prosperity coaching. So that's my story about Mike. And so that helped me get started. And also there were 150 people in the room, good networking, and then crazy, what was crazy but not, I was like, wow, I really need to figure out how to speak on stage because that guy was lying to people. And Mike said to me, join Toastmasters. So in the beginning of 2017, I joined Toastmasters and I spoke 50 times in 2017, 50 times in 2018. My proudest moment is, and I got 2 really proud moments. My first proud moment is speaking at my daughter Lauren's bat mitzvah on March 4, 2017 for 17 minutes in front of 200 people without my note cards, and I wasn't shaking. And then second proud moment 2 years later on March 11, 2019, speaking at Morgan's bat mitzvah for 21 minutes in front of 250 people without any note cards, and actually walking into the crowd and getting them involved in the presentation. So I improved in 2 years, and I started speaking, and I got a little bit of clients from speaking in person. And then of course the world shut down in 2020. I went online, and then as you mentioned, I did my TEDx speech a couple of years ago. So going from the guy who like, just shoot me, there's no way I'm speaking in front of 2 people or more, to doing a TEDx that has been viewed by almost 60,000 people is pretty cool.
That is really cool. And it speaks to possibility. It absolutely
and a mission, because I did that TEDx because I want to help at least 100,000 people become financially free. And I figured if I get something out there that's transformational, that people can learn the truth about money, then maybe, just maybe, I can help a portion of those people just from that TEDx. And it's gotten some good viewers, and who knows?
Yeah, maybe we'll drop that link in the show notes so people can go have a look, and maybe we can get you to that 100,000 views. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is financial freedom?
Financial freedom to me is doing what you want for as much time or as little time as you want to do it, with the ones you love, where you love doing it.
Where is that for you?
I can do prosperity coaching anywhere in the globe, and I have. I've been in Cancun, I've been in Aruba coaching people. I turn my laptop around and show them my beach view, and we go back to coaching.
Yeah.
And so this is that, I'm doing what I love. I can do it for as much time, as little as I want. I can do it where I love to do it. And everyone I coach, I love, because they are me. I am them. We are, on the journey together.
What would you say are a couple of the biggest impediments that people have in their mindset that creates the obstacles to their freedom? And I'm asking this kind of on behalf of myself as a coach, because one of the things that I notice is how often people don't do the 1 or 2. In my program, there are 1 or 2 things. You just have to do it 1 or 2 things every day for like 20 minutes. It's not my level of success in 6 businesses, people, how do you do that? And I say, I spend 30 minutes a day on each business. Like, it's not that hard. And I do it when I'm sick. I do it when I'm tired. I do it from the hospital. My daughter has an illness. I'm in the hospital. I do it in the hospital. I do it when I'm traveling. And then there are people that are like, oh yeah, man, my toe hurt this morning and I just couldn't pick up the phone. For me, it seems self-defeating. So I know that there are some beliefs or there's something underneath people's desire to stay in a holding pattern instead of moving forward. What have you found that to be?
I'll just comment on everything you just said first before I answer your question, which is, one, play hurt. Okay. I don't know if you know David Goggins' book, You Can't Hurt Me. Great book. I just think about him when I had COVID 5.5 years ago, and I didn't stop doing my 4 miles a day or 100 push-ups or sit-ups. I'm like, not going to stop me. I'm going to go every day, even though like running up the hill took a little bit longer. Maybe I was huffing and puffing. Like, I'm doing this, like I'm playing hurt. And then having the discipline and consistency, I think that's within you. I don't, but you can, I've had hundreds of clients, right? And most of them have the self-discipline, but then there are some that, I have a 3-month program, week 6 or week 7 into the program, the follow-ups start piling up, right? Instead of like, it's 3 a week, and then week 7, now there's 7, and then 9, and then 13, and then they're overwhelmed. They don't do any of them. Right. And so it's really having the self-discipline and consistency. Like you said, I have my morning routine. It's 3.5 hours. I do it, if I'm traveling and my meeting starts at 9, I'm getting up at 5 or 5:30 to make sure I get my morning routine in no matter what. Right. And so that consistency and discipline and playing hurt, having that mindset, sick, healthy, whatever, I'm gutting out there. I'm doing my exercise because I know if I can get through 4 miles on a day when it's 17 degrees and I'm hurting, then getting on a call and getting people into a program is nothing, right? Or speaking on a stage is nothing compared to doing that. So back to your question though, there's a lot of limiting beliefs around money that we were brought up with, right? It's, if I'm a good person, I shouldn't care about money. If I'm spiritual, I should be happy with just enough to get by. You got to work really, really hard to be rich and successful. And so all these, we were taught by well-meaning humans who didn't know any better themselves.
Sure.
Like my great-grandparents taught my grandparents, that taught my parents, that taught me, you got to work really hard. And I will tell you, even though 2008 was a really tough year, I barely made any money. I was working 75 hours a week and barely made any money. And I thought, wait a second, something's wrong here. I was taught if I just work really, really hard,
I get money.
And I got the best bonus in my division, and I made the most money that year of anyone, but I still barely got a bonus in 2008. And so I said, and that was actually the reason I wrote The 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, my second book, was to teach the truth about money. Is it's not working really, really hard. It's working smarter. It's believing in yourself and what you can accomplish. It's trusting your intuition, rule number 2. It's, can happiness buy me money, rule number 3. Not can money buy me happiness, can happiness buy me money. It's visualizing the end result, rule number 4. It's being grateful, rule number 5. It's giving, rule number 6. And I applied all of those in 2009 and made 10 times what I made in 2007 and 2009.
Yeah, all of those things I find so amazing. When you were talking about having discipline, it's interesting. I have an email going out today about, like, I have found that I don't have solar discipline, which means daily discipline, like do the same thing every day, like the sun comes up and the sun goes down. I have what I've classified as lunar discipline. So my weeks, like if you look at the cycle of my weeks, the first week of the month always looks pretty much the same. And then the second week, maybe I have the third week, I am like I'm on it, like daily consistency. And then by the fourth week, I'm like, I'm out. I'm peaced out. I'm like, I just worked myself too hard. So now I need some sleep. And I started really thinking about the difference, some of the difference between how like masculine energy manifests and how feminine energy can show up. But my thought was when Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the Four Agreements, and the last of the Four Agreement is just do your best. Just do your best. So the key is to know what you need to be doing to touch the important things every single day and just to do your level best. And for me, it was like I just went through an 8-week intensive training. It was all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I lost my weekends and I had to figure out how do I cram in all of the work for all of the businesses that I'm involved in, keep my podcast guests happy, keep delivering my products and services, take this intensive training class, don't burn out. It would be good if you ate something and remember to take your vitamins and maybe a shower. How do you get it all done? Well, you just put it on the schedule and you say no to a lot of the things that aren't going to align with your values, which for me are peace, joy, and profit. So if it doesn't bring me at least 2 of those, then I just say no. I'm like, oh no, that won't bring me 2 of those things.
Love it.
That's kind of how that works. Let's talk business development. So one of the prime drivers for this show is to talk about using referral relationships, using joint venture, collaborative relationships to find clients, find prospects, find stages, find promotional partners and that sort of thing. How have collaborative relationships played a part in your success?
Great question. And I'm very collaborative. It's like part of my DNA. And so after I wrote my second book, The 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, I had a lot of people who were beta readers. And one of the women who was a beta reader said, so what are you going to do with this? I'm like, what do you mean? It's a book. She's like, no, this is a course. This is a speech. You have like the whole system here. It's the 9 money rules. And she's like, you have a course. Let's do a course. And I was like, she's like, I'll help you. I'm like, okay, great. So we did a course together, the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use course. She's a yoga and meditation teacher. And we collaborated for 4 years. Twice a year, we did this course. And now it's online. And so people get the benefit of, many years of collaboration there. And what she did was, and I don't know how to put it, she's a channel, I would say.
Yeah.
And so each week she would channel something related to the rule of the week, right? Which we just went through, gratitude, giving, when you believe. And so it would just come through her in the perfect words and people would like get grounded. And then I would teach the rule for the week. And it was, we had amazing success for so many years with that. And it was just, okay, that's a lot of time we put into it, but that was a great collaboration. Now, I'm working with a sales coach, and a lot of my clients are heart-centered entrepreneurs. The Reiki master, energy healer, yoga teacher, meditation teacher, psychic, hypnotist, just naming a lot of current and past clients. And they need help on sales and marketing. So I'm collaborating with, so I have 2 now. I just added another sales coach because these people really need help with sales. And I'm not going to say I'm the expert there. I'm the money mindset coach, the money manifestation coach, and the investing coach. But they need help on that side. I plug somebody in, we're collaborating. They take a percentage, and it's been working really well. And my clients are getting huge benefit out of that portion of the coaching.
So you essentially are working to develop joint venture partnerships where they're bringing you clients and you're providing them with a referral fee, essentially, and vice versa.
No, we collaborate in the coaching piece of it. They're not referring people to me. I get leads from speaking. I get leads from outreach, emails, doing posts, social media, doing lives. So, but yeah, Well, it could start actually. The second coach said she may bring me referrals as well. So it could be happening that way in the future, but it hasn't to this point. I've been. Yeah.
And do you find like even just getting stages, are you getting stages because people are referring you to stages, or do you have somebody doing outreach for you?
That's a good point. So podcasts, I guess this was a referral. Camille Miller, right? And so I give referrals to people. So I have my top 30. You'll be in the top 30 now of 200, 300 podcasts I've been on. And if anybody wants to get on a podcast, I'll send them a list and then I'll make the introduction. So I do that. So people have started doing that for me too. I've been doing this for, since my second book came out in 2019. And to get on and getting on stages, besides podcasts, it's been outreach, but I'm part of a speaker coaching program as well. And there's other speakers in there who could refer people to me. I've only been in there a few months, so it could start happening going forward. But I've also given them access to stages that I've been on.
Yeah, it's interesting because what happens for a lot of people is we know tons and tons of people, right? And there are two methods commonly used for getting referrals. One is called HAP. That's the hope and pray method. I'm going to go to this networking event. I'm going to get on podcasts. I'm going to go to speaking, and I'm just going to hope and pray that somebody likes me enough to either be my client or send me a client. That's one. And then the other one, which you alluded to, is what I call the OM method, right? Universe, please send me a referral from this guy. And I always tell people, the law of attraction does have the word action in it. So like the anchor portion of attraction is action. The honest to goodness, Sadhguru is one of my favorite gurus, and he's walking the miles and he's doing he's doing something. He's not just sitting on a mountain. But what most people don't know is what do you do to get people to give you those referrals? And they're basically like 5 quick steps to doing it. So the first thing is just really getting to understand, if I want you to be my referral partner, I want to understand what's your mission, what's your vision, what's your passion, what are you after, what is the thing you want most to experience in the world, where are you looking to contribute? I especially want to know where you're looking to contribute, because the minute you tell me that and I want to thank you, I'm going to contribute to the thing you're contributing to, right? I'm going to make sure that I'm part of your contribution in the world. I'm going to amplify that. I want to know where you're going to take your business over the next couple of years. Do you have team? Do you want more team? Do you want less team? Are you going to travel? Are you going to stay home? What are your goals? How many clients do you want to serve? Are you full? Are you not? What does your landscape look like? And then from there, I want to know, what do you have that I could put out in the world for you? So how can I amplify your own personal efforts? How can I amplify that by putting that out in the world with you, right? Third thing then is, who do you know that I should know? Just being able to ask the question, who do you know that I should know, ends up getting you where have you spoken you think I should speak? What podcast have you appeared on that you think I should be on? But so few of us just never ask the question, right? And then the last thing is to do the right work with the right people for the right amount of time. So making sure we tend to enjoy spending time with people who make us look good. But there are 3 kinds of people in your network. There are spectators. They're just watching you. My friend Joe calls them lurkers. The lurkers, right? Spectators, right? They're watching you. They're kind of, then there's the cheerleaders, and they're the ones that are like, oh my gosh, you're so great. I just love everything about you, but they're not actually doing anything. But we spend a lot of time trying to get the spectators to be cheerleaders, and then the cheerleaders make us feel good, but we still don't have any money, because the people we need to actually be spending time with are the producers, the players, and the producers in our world. And we need to be able to show people how to manifest for us, how to attract things for us, how to appointment set for us. And we need to learn that about them so we can reciprocate. And I think the last interesting thing that I found with my clients is that most of us don't do reciprocity very well. So we really, really, really give. And then someone says, Joel, you've been so kind. You've been so great. What can I do for you? And we go, I'm good. Like, every time. And when people say to me, like, I'm good, I go, no, you're not. You're not good. Are you going to tell me that you have everything worked out, that every aspect of your life is running absolutely beautifully, and nothing, not one thing another human being could do would make your life easier? I'm like, well, no. I go, so ask me for something, anything. Just ask. Just ask.
What I have an affirmation I give my clients, if they believe it, is I am a generous giver and an excellent receiver.
Yes.
And almost every one of my heart-centered entrepreneurs will say, yeah, I'm a generous giver. I'm a 10 on that. Belief level 1 to 10, 10 absolute faith, 1 massive doubt. But when it comes to excellent receiver, it's usually a 3 on average. And so we need to soften it because they aren't excellent receivers.
They aren't. And my guess is Lisa Nichols said this great quote that's in Ivan Misner, the founder of BNI, wrote a book called Infinite Giving. If you haven't read that book, I would grab it because it's phenomenal. It's the 9 rules of reciprocity. And in that book, he interviewed Lisa Nichols because they were in the Transformational Leaders Council together. And Lisa said, yeah, I always give from my saucer, not from my cup.
Nice.
And I suspect that a lot of healers and a lot of really the healing serving professional types give way too much from their cup and then feel guilty when their cup is empty. But they gave away from their cup and then they did this. They, like, somebody came with a coffee pot and they put their hand on the top of the cup. And I'm like, what are you going to get from? Where's that going to come from? That for me was just such an important lesson when that book came out. And I was like, yeah, I do have to guard myself against giving from pouring out my cup. It's in the Bible, what my cup runneth over. It's the part that we get is the runneth over part, not the stuff in the cup. We don't get that part. We get the over part. So I think that's really, really key. So speaking of giving, and speaking of gifts, great transition. See how I did that? You have a kind of a guide book, a PDF that we can provide for the listener today to help them start cranking out their money mindset. So tell us a little bit about I don't know what we call it, the lead magnet, the blueprint, the guidebook, that you've got.
Yeah, the Financial Freedom Blueprint is prosperity is easy. 4 money misconceptions keeping you stuck and what to believe instead. So we go through basically what I just talked about in terms of good people. One of the limiting beliefs is good people. If I'm a good person, I shouldn't care about money. If I'm spiritual, I should be happy with just enough to get by, and how these limiting beliefs play out in your business, and then how to flip them to empowering beliefs, and then how to flip that belief of, I got to work really, really hard to be rich and successful, to flip that as well to an empowering belief. And so we go through each of these things that are not serving you and then flip them to empowering beliefs. And then, of course, if you want to go deeper, I love, I have an individualized roadmap to an extra $10,000 in the next 30 days for anybody who's interested. And this is normally a $997 Financial Freedom Blueprint call that I'm gifting to anyone who's listening.
That's awesome. So we will put links to that in our gift vault for sure with your profile. So, listener, you know where to go. You go to bbrpodcast.com and click on the gift vault. And from there, you will find Joel Salomon's photo and his freebies and his information. We'll also have a link to your website and to your TED Talk in our show notes. Joel, any last words for today's listener?
Most important thing is you're going to have doubts in your business when going through. Things are not just going to be, flowing. There's flow and more flow, right? And so maybe when there's just flow, you might get some doubts. So I say hashtag doubt the doubt.
Doubt your doubts.
Have faith in the dream. Don't have faith in your doubt.
And the naysayers, tell the naysayers to shut up. Right? Like they're usually well-meaning, but man, they really burst your bubble when they get an opportunity. It's kind of sad. So if you want to pursue your dream and you want to keep going, you got me, you got Joel on your side. So run out to BBR Podcast, go to the gift vault, download Joe's 4 money misconceptions that are keeping you, well, we'll just call less than financially free, keeping you stuck there. And by all means, grab the Business by Referral Blueprint, which has the 6 essential steps you need to take if you want to turn your network into your net worth. So Joel Salomon, what a great conversation. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure and honor, Virginia.
And listener, thanks for being here. And you know the drill. Until we meet again, be remarkable.